The school was buzzing with the usual noise of students moving from one class to another. Some were laughing loudly, others were carrying heavy backpacks and rushing to catch up with their friends. Among all this chaos, there was a girl who seemed almost invisible. She walked slowly, keeping her head down, and her eyes focused on the floor most of the time. She didn't speak much to anyone, not because she didn't want to, but because she preferred to observe and understand things quietly. Teachers often noticed her quiet nature, sometimes with concern, sometimes with curiosity. In music class, things were different. The moment she stepped into the room, her eyes would light up just a little. She would watch the piano closely, her fingers twitching slightly as if imagining the keys beneath her touch. She didn't say much, but there was a certain excitement in the way she looked at the instrument. Music had a pull on her that no one else could see clearly yet. Other students would chatter and laugh, some would practice confidently, and a few would struggle to hit the right notes, but she would quietly stand near the piano, soaking it all in. Her teachers had noticed this too. They watched her carefully, seeing how her attention never wavered when the piano was around. It was like she could hear something that others couldn't, something deep in the music that spoke to her soul. But no one had really tested her abilities. Maybe they thought she was just interested, or maybe they thought she didn't have the courage to try. They didn't know that she had a hidden talent waiting to come alive. It was a regular Wednesday morning, and the music room smelled faintly of polished wood and chalk dust from the blackboard. The teacher had asked everyone to settle down and take their seats. The girl quietly moved to the back of the room as usual. She didn't like to be in the center of attention, not yet. She was content observing and listening. But today something felt different. She could sense that the teacher had noticed her lingering near the piano more than usual. There was a spark of curiosity in the teacher's eyes, a feeling that maybe it was time to see what she could really do. The lesson started like any other day, with the teacher talking about the basics of music, scales, notes, and rhythm. The other students fidgeted, some trying to follow along, some pretending to listen while thinking about lunch or games. The girl, however, hung on every word, even when it was technical. She had a natural understanding, a sense of rhythm and melody that didn't come from practice alone. It came from something deeper, something inside her that yearned to express itself. As the class moved on to practice time, students were asked to play simple exercises on the piano. The room filled with sounds, some pleasant, some off-key, some hesitant. The girl stood silently near the piano, unsure if she should try. She had never had formal lessons, and the thought of playing in front of everyone made her nervous. But there was something inside her urging her to at least touch the keys. She reached out, her fingers trembling slightly, and pressed a single key. The sound echoed through the room, soft but clear. It was just one note, but it carried a depth that made the teacher pause and listen. The teacher walked over slowly, curiosity evident in his steps. He looked at her closely, noticing the way her fingers hovered above the keys, the careful attention in her eyes. It was as if she could see the music in her mind, even before she played it. Other students glanced over, some smirking quietly, thinking it would be another awkward attempt like so many others. But there was something different about her. There was a calmness and focus that couldn't be faked. The teacher decided to let her try a little more. He stepped back, giving her space, and asked, "Would you like to play something for us?" Her heart raced, and for a moment, she wanted to hide, to disappear like she usually did. But the piano was calling to her, and she couldn't resist. She nodded slowly, almost shyly, and sat on the piano bench. The room fell silent, all eyes on her now. Some students whispered, wondering if this quiet girl could really play anything worth hearing. She placed her fingers on the keys, taking a deep breath to calm herself. Then she pressed another key. The note that came out was soft but perfect, like a small ripple in a still pond. She pressed another, and another, each sound flowing naturally into the next. It wasn't just random notes. It was as if she was telling a story with her fingers. The room, which had been noisy just moments ago, was now completely still. Everyone was listening, unable to believe the beauty that was coming from someone they had barely noticed before. The teacher's eyes widened slightly. He had heard many students play over the years, some good, some great, but this was different. There was an emotion in her playing, a natural understanding of the piano that couldn't be taught in a day or even a year. He felt a mixture of pride and excitement, knowing that he was witnessing the beginning of something extraordinary. The other students shifted uncomfortably, realizing that they had underestimated her. The whispers stopped, replaced by awe and curiosity. For the girl, time seemed to slow down. She was lost in the music, not thinking about who was watching or what they thought. Each note was a conversation between her and the piano, a way to express feelings she had never been able to put into words. She didn't notice the smiles forming on the teacher's face or the astonished looks from her classmates. All she knew was the sound she was creating, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world. When she finally finished, there was a moment of silence. It wasn't awkward. It was the kind of silence that happens when everyone is still trying to process what they just experienced. Then the teacher clapped slowly, deliberately, breaking the silence. Soon, others joined in, the applause growing louder. She looked up, surprised and a little embarrassed by the attention, but the smile on her face couldn't be hidden. For the first time, she realized that her music had the power to move people, even without words. After class, the teacher asked her to stay behind for a moment. He spoke kindly, not with pressure, but with genuine interest. "You have a real gift," he said. "I've never heard anything like that from someone your age. Have you ever had lessons before?" She shook her head softly. She had only ever played quietly at home, imagining melodies in her mind. She had never thought anyone else would hear them, let alone be amazed by them. The teacher nodded, understanding that this was just the beginning of her journey. He promised to help her explore her talent, to give her opportunities she had never imagined. As she left the music room that day, something inside her had changed. She walked a little taller, her steps a little lighter. She felt seen for the first time, not just as a quiet girl in the background, but as someone who had a special voice through the piano. She didn't know where this path would lead, but for the first time, she was excited to find out. Music had always been her secret world, and now she knew that it could also be a world where others could see the beauty she carried inside her. Even as she returned to her other classes and the noise of the school resumed, the memory of that first note lingered. Teachers and students alike couldn't stop talking about it, and for the girl it was a quiet reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary things come from the most unexpected places. That day marked the start of a journey that would change her life. A journey that began with one brave step toward the piano and one note that shocked everyone. The next day, the girl arrived at school with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Her first piano experience had changed something inside her, but now she faced the challenge of performing again in front of teachers and classmates. She walked down the familiar hallways, her fingers brushing lightly against her school bag, her mind drifting back to the piano. The notes she had played yesterday seemed to echo in her memory, and she felt both eager and scared to hear them again in real life. In the music room, the teacher was already preparing the piano, making sure everything was in place. Today was going to be different. The teacher had planned to test her more deliberately, not in a harsh way, but to see how much her natural talent could shine under some guidance. Other students entered the room, chatting casually, unaware that something extraordinary was about to happen again. Some glanced at the girl, curious because of the previous day's incident, while others whispered quietly, wondering if the first performance had just been a lucky accident. The teacher called her over gently, smiling to ease her nerves. "Today, I want you to play something for us," he said. "But this time, try to play freely, anything that comes to your mind." The girl hesitated for a moment, looking at the piano. She felt a little fear creeping in, but she also felt a surge of excitement. She sat down, her hands hovering above the keys, and took a deep breath. This was not just a test. It was a chance to show a part of herself that she had never shared with anyone before. She started with a soft note, letting it linger in the quiet room. Then she added another, and another, letting her fingers move naturally. She didn't follow any rules or patterns. She just let the music flow from within her. The sound was pure and filled the room with emotion. Each note seemed to carry a story, something from her heart that words could not express. The teacher watched intently, his eyes full of admiration and surprise. He had seen talented students before, but this was different. The music was alive, breathing, and it felt as if it was telling a secret that only she could understand. Other students slowly stopped their chatter, mesmerized by the sound coming from the piano. Some leaned forward in their seats, trying to understand how someone so quiet and unassuming could create something so beautiful. The girl was unaware of their attention. She was lost in her own world, focused entirely on the connection between her fingers and the keys. Each movement felt natural, effortless, as if the piano had been waiting for her all along. As she played, the teacher noticed a pattern emerging. She had an instinctive sense of rhythm and melody. Some passages were playful, light, and airy, while others were deep and emotional. The contrast made her performance even more compelling. He realized that her ability was not just raw talent. It was a combination of intuition, sensitivity, and a deep understanding of music that couldn't be taught in a classroom. It was rare, almost magical, to see someone so young display this kind of musical maturity. When she finished, the room remained silent for a few moments. Everyone was processing what they had just heard. The teacher broke the silence first, clapping slowly. His applause was not just for the music but for the courage and honesty she had shown. Gradually, other students joined in, their claps growing louder. Some had tears in their eyes, unable to contain their amazement. The girl looked up, surprised by the reaction, a shy smile appearing on her face. She felt a warmth in her chest, a mixture of pride and disbelief. For the first time, she realized that her music could touch people, that it could make them feel emotions they hadn't felt before. After class, the teacher invited her to stay behind again. He spoke softly, praising her performance and asking her about her experience. "You have a natural gift," he said, "but I want to help you develop it even further. Would you like to learn more about piano? Maybe with some guidance?" The girl nodded eagerly. She had always dreamed of learning, but she had never imagined anyone would take her seriously. The teacher's encouragement made her heart race with hope and excitement. Over the next few weeks, the girl began to spend more time in the music room. She practiced after school, exploring different melodies and experimenting with rhythms. The teacher gave her gentle guidance, showing her techniques and helping her understand the structure of music. But mostly, she learned to trust her instincts, to let the music come naturally. Each day, her confidence grew. She was no longer the quiet girl standing at the back of the room. She was a young musician discovering her own voice. Other students started to notice the change as well. Some were inspired by her dedication and talent, while others were curious about how she could play so beautifully without formal lessons. A few classmates approached her, asking if she could teach them or at least show them what she had learned. She was hesitant at first, but she realized that sharing music made it even more special. Slowly, she began to interact more, not just through words, but through the notes she played on the piano. The teacher also noticed something important. Her progress was not just about learning to play the piano, it was about growing as a person. Music had given her a way to express herself, to connect with others, and to find confidence she had never known before. Each note she played seemed to strengthen her spirit, and each applause from classmates reminded her that she was capable of extraordinary things. He knew that with continued support and encouragement, she could achieve something truly remarkable. One day, the teacher decided to organize a small informal recital in the music room. He invited a few students and teachers to listen. The girl was nervous at first, unsure if she could perform in front of a slightly larger audience. But as soon as she sat at the piano and pressed the first key, the fear melted away. She played with the same passion and authenticity she had discovered in herself. The room was filled with emotion, and everyone listened in awe. The teacher watched, proud and amazed, realizing that the girl's journey was only beginning, and that her talent had the power to leave a lasting impression on everyone who heard her. As days turned into weeks, the girl's skills continued to grow. She experimented with different styles of music, learned to read sheet music, and even began composing her own melodies. The piano became her closest friend, a way to communicate feelings she couldn't express otherwise. Teachers and classmates alike marveled at how someone so quiet could create such beauty. She had transformed from an unnoticed student into a young musician who inspired everyone around her. The story of the girl who had shocked everyone with her first piano sound spread throughout the school. Teachers began to encourage more students to explore their hidden talents. Inspired by her journey, she became a symbol of hope and possibility, proving that even the quietest, most unassuming students could possess extraordinary gifts. Her journey was not just about music. It was about discovery, courage, and the power of believing in oneself. Through all of this, the girl remained humble and focused. She knew that talent alone was not enough. It required practice, dedication, and a willingness to take risks. Each day, she returned to the piano with a sense of purpose, ready to learn, ready to grow, and ready to share her gift with the world. The first day she played, the room had been shocked. Now, with every note, she was shaping her own story, one that would inspire others and remind them that greatness can come from the most unexpected places. Days passed, and the girl's dedication to the piano continued to grow stronger. Every morning, she would arrive at school a few minutes early just to spend some quiet time with the instrument. The music room had become her safe place, where the noise and pressures of school faded away, leaving only her and the sound of the piano keys. Each note she played seemed to strengthen her confidence and calm her mind. The teacher watched her progress with admiration, realizing that her natural talent was blossoming into something extraordinary. One afternoon, the teacher decided it was time for her to face a slightly bigger challenge. He gathered a few students who had shown interest in music and asked them to listen carefully. He told the girl that today, she could choose any piece she wanted, something that truly expressed her feelings and her imagination. The girl felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had never had this kind of freedom before, and the idea of choosing her own music made her heart race. She thought carefully, her fingers hovering above the keys, recalling the melodies she had imagined at home. Slowly, she pressed the first key, letting a soft note fill the room. She added another, and then another, weaving a melody that was delicate yet full of emotion. The other students stopped talking, drawn in by the unexpected beauty of the music. They leaned forward, curious and amazed at how someone so quiet could create something so powerful. The teacher stood nearby, silently observing. He noticed how naturally her fingers moved, as if the piano had become an extension of her body. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty, just pure expression. She played with emotion and rhythm, creating patterns that were both unique and moving. Each note carried a story, a feeling that words could not capture. The room seemed to hold its breath, listening to the young girl pour her heart into the music. As she continued, the students and teachers in the room began to realize that what they were witnessing was more than just talent. It was passion, dedication, and an understanding of music that could not be taught in a classroom. They watched in silence, some with wide eyes, others with expressions of awe. The girl was unaware of their reactions, lost entirely in the melody she was creating. The music flowed from her as naturally as breathing, each note a reflection of her inner world. When she finished, the room remained quiet for a few moments. Then the teacher clapped slowly, deliberately, signaling the start of the applause. Soon, the other students joined in, some cheering softly, others whistling in admiration. The girl looked up, surprised and slightly embarrassed by the attention, but a small smile appeared on her face. She felt proud and happy, realizing that her music could touch people and make them feel something special. The teacher approached her, his eyes filled with pride. "You have an incredible gift," he said gently. "I want to help you explore it even more. We can work together on different pieces, learn new techniques, and maybe even prepare for a performance outside the school one day." The girl nodded eagerly, her heart swelling with excitement. She had never imagined that her quiet love for music could lead to opportunities like this. Over the next few weeks, she began to practice more diligently. The teacher introduced her to new songs and compositions, guiding her without taking away her natural style. She learned about rhythm, harmony, and musical expression, but always in a way that allowed her own creativity to shine. With each practice session, she grew more confident and skilled, her fingers moving faster and more accurately across the keys. The piano had become a friend, a companion that helped her express thoughts and emotions she had never been able to share with anyone else. Her classmates started noticing her dedication and progress. Some were inspired, quietly practicing themselves, while others approached her with curiosity, asking her how she had learned to play so beautifully without formal lessons. She answered humbly, explaining that she had only ever imagined melodies and played for herself, never expecting anyone else to hear them. Her story encouraged others to explore their own hidden talents, showing them that even quiet and reserved students could achieve something remarkable. The teacher also began to plan small performances for her, starting with in-school recitals. He wanted her to experience the joy of playing for an audience, to build confidence and show her how her music could connect with others. The girl was nervous at first, worried about playing in front of people, but each time she performed, her confidence grew. She learned to enjoy the feeling of sharing her music, and the applause and smiles from the audience motivated her to keep improving. One day, the school decided to host a music competition. The teacher encouraged the girl to participate, knowing that it would be a great opportunity for her to showcase her talent. She hesitated at first, afraid of competing and making mistakes, but with gentle encouragement, she agreed. In the weeks leading up to the competition, she practiced tirelessly, experimenting with different melodies and refining her skills. Her dedication was unwavering, and she poured her heart into every practice session. On the day of the competition, the music hall was filled with students, teachers, and parents. The girl felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety as she waited for her turn. When the teacher called her to the stage, she took a deep breath and walked forward, trying to calm her nerves. She sat at the piano, her fingers hovering above the keys, and for a moment, she closed her eyes, imagining the melodies she had created in her mind. As she played the first note, the audience fell silent, captivated by the sound. The music was soft and gentle at first, then gradually built into a rich, emotional composition. Each note was perfectly timed, each movement of her fingers deliberate and expressive. The audience listened in awe, unable to believe that such a young and quiet student could produce music with such depth and feeling. The girl was lost in the music, unaware of the reactions around her, fully immersed in the story she was telling through the piano. When she finished, the hall erupted in applause. Teachers and students alike were amazed, some standing to cheer and others clapping enthusiastically. The girl looked up, her heart pounding with excitement and pride. She had done it. She had shared her music with the world, and the response was overwhelming. The teacher smiled, proud of her courage and talent, knowing that this was only the beginning of her journey. After the competition, the girl's confidence grew even more. She realized that her love for music could open doors and create opportunities she had never imagined. She continued to practice diligently, exploring new compositions and experimenting with her own melodies. The piano had become more than just an instrument. It was a way for her to express herself, connect with others, and discover the power within herself. Her story began to inspire others at school. Students who had never thought they could excel in music started to explore their own talents, encouraged by her example. Teachers began to pay more attention to quiet and reserved students, realizing that hidden gifts could be waiting in the most unexpected places. The girl's journey showed that with passion, dedication, and the right guidance, even the most unassuming individuals could achieve something extraordinary. Through it all, the girl remained humble and focused. She knew that her journey with music was just beginning and that there was always more to learn and explore. Each day at the piano was a chance to grow, to discover new melodies, and to express herself in ways that words could never capture. The first note she had played in the school music room had been a small step, but it had set her on a path that would shape her life and inspire everyone who had the chance to hear her play. Weeks passed, and the girl's life at school started to change in ways she had never imagined. She was still quiet, still reserved, but there was a new confidence in the way she carried herself. The piano had become more than a class activity or a private passion. It had become a bridge between her and the world. Students who had barely noticed her before now looked at her with curiosity and admiration. Some of them approached her to ask questions. Others simply watched from a distance, fascinated by the girl who could make a piano sing. The teacher noticed the transformation as well. She was no longer hesitant or shy when it came to playing. Each time she sat at the piano, there was a sense of purpose in her actions, a quiet determination that had not been there before. He decided it was time to give her a more significant challenge, one that would test her ability to express herself fully and allow her talent to shine even brighter. One afternoon, the music room was unusually quiet. The teacher had invited a few other teachers to come and observe, not to judge, but to witness her progress. The girl arrived, carrying the familiar mix of nervousness and excitement. She had practiced for hours, trying different melodies, exploring her own style, and imagining the reactions of those who would hear her. Yet, standing at the edge of the room, she felt the familiar flutter of anxiety. Performing in front of more people was different. It was no longer just about her and the piano. The teacher smiled at her, offering words of encouragement. "Play whatever you feel," he said. "Let the music speak for you. Don't think about us or the others watching. Just play." The girl nodded and walked over to the piano. She placed her fingers on the keys, took a deep breath, and began. The first notes were soft, tentative, but soon grew into a melody filled with emotion and depth. Each note was precise, yet free, a delicate balance of skill and feeling. Her music flowed naturally, capturing the attention of everyone in the room. The teachers who were observing could hardly believe their eyes and ears. They had seen many students play over the years, some with training, some with talent, but there was something extraordinary about her. The music was not just notes and rhythm. It was a story, a conversation, a reflection of her inner world. They watched silently, captivated by her ability to transform the piano into a voice that spoke directly to the heart. Other students in the room also paused, drawn in by the beauty of the performance. Whispers turned into silence as they realized that the quiet girl, the one they had barely noticed, was capable of producing something that moved people deeply. Some stared with wide eyes, unable to contain their astonishment. Others felt inspired, imagining what they themselves might achieve if they devoted themselves to something they loved. The girl, unaware of the reactions around her, continued to play, letting the music guide her. As she played, the teacher noticed subtle expressions on her face: focus, joy, and even a hint of vulnerability. Each movement of her fingers was deliberate yet effortless, a reflection of the connection she had developed with the piano. He realized that her progress was not just about skill. It was about growth, courage, and self-discovery. She had learned to trust herself and her abilities, and that trust was reflected in every note she played. When she finished, the room remained silent for a moment. Then the teacher clapped slowly, deliberately, breaking the silence. The other teachers and students joined in, the applause growing louder. The girl looked up, a shy but proud smile on her face. She had faced the challenge, and in doing so, had shown everyone the true depth of her talent. The music had spoken for her, conveying emotions she had never been able to express in words. After the performance, the teacher spoke to her privately. "You have come so far," he said gently. "Your music touches people in a way that is rare and beautiful. I want to help you continue to grow, to explore more complex pieces, and maybe even prepare for performances outside of school." The girl's eyes lit up with excitement. She had always loved music, but she had never imagined that it could open doors and create opportunities for her. The teacher's words gave her hope and motivation to continue her journey. In the following weeks, the girl's practice sessions became more focused and deliberate. She worked on more challenging pieces, exploring different genres and techniques. The piano was no longer just an instrument. It was a medium through which she could express her emotions, tell stories, and connect with others. Each practice session strengthened her skills and her confidence, and each performance, no matter how small, reinforced the joy and fulfillment she felt. Her classmates began to see her in a new light. The quiet girl who had once been overlooked was now someone they admired and respected. Some students were inspired to pursue their own interests more seriously, while others simply enjoyed watching her progress. She became a symbol of dedication and the power of pursuing one's passion. Her story showed that even those who appear quiet or shy can possess extraordinary abilities and make a meaningful impact on those around them. The teacher continued to provide guidance, introducing her to new techniques and helping her refine her musical expression. He also encouraged her to experiment, to compose her own pieces, and to take risks in her playing. With each challenge, she grew more confident and skilled, learning not only about music but about herself. She discovered that talent combined with hard work, courage, and persistence could lead to remarkable achievements. One day, the teacher suggested that she try performing a piece she had composed herself. The girl hesitated at first, unsure if her composition would be well received. But with gentle encouragement, she agreed. She spent days refining the piece, adding subtle details and nuances, making sure it truly reflected her style and emotions. When the day arrived to perform it, she felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness, but also a sense of pride in sharing something so personal. As she played her composition, the audience was captivated. The music flowed naturally, expressing emotions that words could not capture. Each note was a reflection of her thoughts and feelings, a story told through the piano. Teachers and students alike were amazed at her ability to convey such depth and emotion. The performance was not just a display of skill. It was a revelation of her inner world, a testament to her dedication, creativity, and courage. After the performance, the room erupted in applause. The girl felt a rush of pride and happiness. She had taken a risk, shared her own creation, and been embraced for it. The teacher smiled, knowing that she had reached a significant milestone in her journey. Her confidence had grown, her skills had advanced, and her love for music had deepened. She was no longer just a quiet observer. She was an artist, capable of creating beauty and inspiring others. The girl's journey continued, filled with practice, exploration, and small performances. She learned to embrace challenges, to trust her instincts, and to express herself through her music. Her story became an inspiration to others, showing that talent, when nurtured with dedication and courage, could flourish and touch the lives of those around it. She had started as a quiet girl, unsure of her abilities, but through her love for the piano, she had discovered her voice, her confidence, and her potential to achieve extraordinary things. Through all of this, she remained humble and focused. She knew that her journey was just beginning and that there was always more to learn. Each day at the piano was an opportunity to grow, to explore new melodies, and to share her music with others. The first note she had played in the school music room had been a small step, but it had set her on a path of self-discovery, growth, and inspiration. Her journey continued, filled with promise, passion, and the joy of music that could touch hearts and change lives. As the school year continued, the girl's life became increasingly intertwined with the piano. Her talent had not gone unnoticed, and her dedication was inspiring those around her. The music room, once a quiet refuge for her alone, became a place where teachers and students would often gather to listen to her play. She still remained humble and soft-spoken, but her music spoke volumes, and everyone could feel the depth of her expression. One morning, the teacher approached her with an idea. The school was hosting a small cultural event, and he suggested that she perform in front of a larger audience than she had faced before. She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Performing for her classmates was one thing, but this event would include parents, teachers, and guests from the community. It was a new challenge, one that would test her confidence and skill. After a brief pause, she nodded, ready to take the step. The teacher spent time guiding her in preparation, helping her choose a piece that she felt comfortable with, but that also showcased her abilities. He emphasized that the most important thing was to express herself and enjoy the experience. She practiced diligently, exploring the emotions within the music, experimenting with tempo and dynamics, and imagining the audience's reactions. Each practice session strengthened her understanding of the piece and her connection to the piano. On the day of the event, the girl arrived early, her hands slightly trembling as she approached the piano. The music hall was filled with students, teachers, and parents, all eagerly awaiting the performances. She felt her heartbeat quicken, a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The teacher gave her an encouraging smile, reminding her to focus on the music and not the crowd. She took a deep breath, nodded, and sat down at the piano bench, her fingers hovering over the keys. She began to play, the first notes gentle and tentative. As the melody unfolded, she gained confidence, and the music filled the hall with a rich, emotional sound. Each note conveyed her feelings, telling a story without words. The audience sat in silence, captivated by the beauty and depth of her performance. Some watched with wide eyes, others leaned forward, mesmerized by the unexpected talent of this quiet girl. The music was no longer just an expression. It was a bridge connecting her to everyone present. The teacher observed closely, pride evident in his expression. He could see how naturally she interpreted the piece, how her fingers moved with both precision and emotion. She had grown tremendously since the first note she had played in the music room, and now she was sharing her gift with a larger audience. The connection she had with the piano was unmistakable, and the audience could feel the sincerity and passion in every sound. As she played, memories of her earlier hesitations and fears crossed her mind. She remembered the first time she had touched the piano, the nervousness that had made her hands shake, and the moment when the first note had surprised everyone, including herself. She realized how far she had come, how much she had grown in confidence and skill. That realization fueled her performance, making it even more heartfelt and compelling. When the last note resonated through the hall, a moment of silence followed. Then the audience erupted in applause, some standing, some cheering, all showing their admiration and amazement. The girl looked up, her cheeks flushed, a shy but proud smile on her face. She had done it. She had shared her music with a larger audience and had been embraced and celebrated for her talent. After the performance, the teacher approached her once again. "You were incredible," he said softly. "Your music touched everyone here. You should be proud of yourself." The girl nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest that went beyond pride. She realized that her music had the power to move people, to inspire them, and to connect them to something beautiful. It was a feeling she wanted to experience again and again. In the days following the event, the girl noticed a change in how others treated her. Students who had once overlooked her now approached her with respect and curiosity. They asked her questions about her practice, her music, and her experiences. Some expressed a desire to learn from her, while others simply wanted to listen to her play. The teacher noticed this too, seeing how her journey was inspiring not just her own growth, but also encouraging others to explore their talents. The girl continued to practice diligently, motivated by the joy of playing and the positive responses she had received. She began experimenting with composing her own music, using her emotions and experiences as inspiration. She discovered that creating her own melodies allowed her to express herself in ways she had never imagined. The piano became a means of communication, a way to share her thoughts and feelings without words. Each new composition was a reflection of her growth, her creativity, and her determination. The teacher continued to guide her, introducing more complex techniques and helping her refine her musical expression. He encouraged her to take risks, to explore new styles, and to push the boundaries of her abilities. With each challenge, she grew more confident, her skills improving, and her love for music deepening. The piano had become not just a passion, but a lifelong pursuit, a source of joy, expression, and inspiration. As she progressed, the girl began to understand the importance of perseverance, practice, and patience. She realized that talent alone was not enough. It required dedication, hard work, and a willingness to face challenges and overcome fears. Each performance, each practice session, and each new composition was a step forward, a part of her journey toward becoming a skilled and expressive musician. Her story began to spread beyond the school. Teachers shared her progress with colleagues, students talked about her talent, and parents who had attended the event spoke of her remarkable performance. She had become a symbol of dedication, courage, and the potential within every student. Her journey showed that even those who appear quiet or reserved can possess extraordinary abilities and make a meaningful impact on the world around them. Through it all, the girl remained humble and focused. She knew that her journey with music was ongoing, that there were always new pieces to learn, new skills to develop, and new emotions to express. Each day at the piano was an opportunity to grow, to explore, and to connect with others through the universal language of music. The first note she had played in the school music room had been a small beginning, but it had set her on a path of self-discovery, inspiration, and the pursuit of excellence. The girl's journey was not just about becoming a talented pianist. It was about learning to trust herself, to embrace challenges, and to share her gifts with the world. Her music had the power to inspire, to move, and to connect people, and she was determined to continue exploring that power. Each note she played was a testament to her growth, her dedication, and her belief in herself. As the school year continued, the girl looked forward to every practice session, every opportunity to perform, and every moment she could spend at the piano. She knew that her journey was only beginning, that there were endless possibilities waiting for her. The first note that had shocked everyone had been just the start of a story filled with growth, discovery, and the joy of sharing her gift. With each day, she continued to build her path, inspiring others and discovering the incredible potential that lay within her. The final weeks of the school year brought new opportunities and challenges for the girl. Her journey with the piano had grown into something extraordinary, and she had gained a confidence and poise she never imagined. Every day, she looked forward to practicing, exploring melodies, and expressing her emotions through the keys. Music had become her voice, her way to connect with others, and her source of joy and inspiration. The teacher, seeing her progress, decided it was time for her to perform at the school's year-end showcase. This event would bring together students from all grades, teachers, parents, and guests from the community. It was a big stage, and the girl felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had performed in front of her classmates and small audiences before, but this was different. The expectations were higher, and the spotlight was brighter. She wondered if she was ready, but deep down, she knew that she had grown stronger and more confident through all the practice and performances she had experienced. In the days leading up to the showcase, the girl spent extra time in the music room. She experimented with different pieces, refined her favorite compositions, and practiced transitioning smoothly between melodies. The teacher provided guidance and support, helping her prepare without taking away her creative freedom. He encouraged her to play from her heart, to let the music reflect her emotions and experiences. Each session strengthened her skills and deepened her connection to the piano. On the day of the showcase, the music hall was filled with energy and anticipation. Students moved about, rehearsing their performances, teachers checked sound systems, and parents found their seats. The girl arrived early, carrying a mixture of nervousness and excitement. She took a few minutes to sit quietly by the piano, feeling its familiar presence and letting it calm her nerves. The keys felt like old friends beneath her fingers, ready to help her tell her story. When her turn came, the teacher gave her a reassuring smile. She walked onto the stage, feeling the weight of the audience's gaze, but also a sense of purpose. She sat at the piano, took a deep breath, and placed her fingers on the keys. As she played the first note, the audience fell silent. The sound was gentle, yet confident, a perfect reflection of her growth and dedication. She allowed herself to be fully present, letting the music guide her and tell the story she wanted to share. The audience was captivated. Each note was filled with emotion, each movement of her fingers deliberate and expressive. The music flowed naturally, rising and falling like a wave, drawing everyone into her world. Parents, teachers, and students watched in awe, amazed by the depth and beauty of her performance. The girl had transformed the piano into a voice that spoke directly to the heart, conveying feelings and stories that words could never express. The teacher observed from the side of the stage, proud and amazed. He had watched her grow from a quiet, reserved student into a confident musician capable of moving an entire audience. Her performance was not just about skill. It was about courage, expression, and the willingness to share her gift with others. Each note reflected her dedication, practice, and the emotional journey she had undertaken. When she finished, the music hall erupted in applause. The audience rose to their feet, cheering and clapping enthusiastically. The girl looked up, her heart racing, a mix of pride, happiness, and a little disbelief at the response. She had faced a big challenge and she had succeeded. The first note she had played weeks ago, which had shocked everyone, had led to this moment of recognition and accomplishment. She realized that her music had the power to touch people, inspire them, and bring them together. After the performance, the teacher came up to her and spoke softly, praising her courage, skill, and emotional expression. He reminded her that this was just the beginning and that there were many more opportunities for her to explore her talent. The girl felt a deep sense of gratitude and excitement. She had discovered her voice through the piano, and now she knew that she could continue to grow, create, and inspire others through her music. In the weeks that followed, the girl continued to practice and explore new compositions. She began to write her own music more frequently, experimenting with different styles and melodies. The piano became a canvas for her creativity, a way to express her thoughts, dreams, and emotions. Each piece she created was a reflection of her journey, her growth, and her dedication to her passion. Her story continued to inspire others at school. Students who had once overlooked her now approached her with admiration and curiosity, eager to learn from her example. Teachers encouraged other quiet or reserved students to explore their hidden talents, recognizing that extraordinary abilities could be found in unexpected places. The girl's journey had shown that with passion, dedication, and courage, anyone could achieve remarkable things. The girl also learned the importance of perseverance and resilience. She understood that talent alone was not enough. It required hard work, practice, and the willingness to take risks. Each challenge she faced, whether it was performing in front of a large audience or composing a new piece, helped her grow stronger and more confident. She discovered that the joy of music came not just from playing, but from the journey of learning, creating, and sharing her gift with others. As she continued to play and compose, the girl began to imagine a future filled with music. She dreamed of performing in larger venues, sharing her compositions with a wider audience, and continuing to inspire others through her talent. The first note she had played in the music room had been a small beginning, but it had set her on a path of discovery, growth, and possibility. She knew that there were endless opportunities ahead, and that her journey with music had only just begun. Through all of this, the girl remained humble and focused. She understood that her success was the result of her dedication, practice, and the guidance she had received. She continued to approach the piano with respect and love, knowing that each note she played was an opportunity to express herself and connect with others. Her music had become a bridge between her inner world and the hearts of those who listened. The final part of her school year was a celebration of her growth and achievements. She had started as a quiet, reserved student, uncertain of her abilities, and had transformed into a confident, expressive musician capable of inspiring others. Her journey showed that talent, when nurtured with patience, courage, and dedication, could flourish and make a lasting impact. The first piano sound that had shocked everyone had marked the beginning of a remarkable story, one that would continue to unfold as she explored her passion and shared her gift with the world. In the end, the girl knew that the piano was more than an instrument. It was a part of her identity, a way to express her emotions, and a tool to inspire and connect with others. Each performance, each composition, and each practice session was a step forward in her journey. She had discovered her voice, her confidence, and the power of music to touch hearts and change lives. The first note she played had shocked everyone, but it had also opened the door to a lifetime of possibilities, growth, and the joy of creating beauty through music.